That's the sound of the Smite Console League. Tom and Aggro coming at you live from hi-rez Studios. Third game, this time both SPL teams trying to keep their spot intact. Strictly Business versus Starboys.
Yeah, this is the matchup that usually dictates more than anything else. The two SCL teams trying to defend their spots. Who's going to win this one? Starboys already 1-0. Strictly Business, I mean, that is a tough game to try and come back from.
Yeah.
It might be the longest Smite game in competitive history. I mean, 66, 67 minutes. That's a brutal game to lose. So now you've got to try and refocus and play again right away against the competition that's probably going to be the strongest in Starboys. So can SB bounce back and beat SB?
Later on, we'll see Anti-Venom take on In Memory of Michael, and we'll see how the rest of the day goes. But this is the one that I'm always looking at with the harshest critic. These guys, this is the Pro League. These are the teams that are supposed to be good enough, right?
Yep.
They're defending their spot. So this should, by all definitions, be one of the better games today. Will it be? Let's take a look at Picks and Bans.
I mean, this is, as you mentioned, like this has got to be Starboys trying to solidify their spot, because if they already are 1-0, magic numbers usually 2 in these relegation processes. So this is a really good opportunity for Starboys because they catch SB at a great time. As I mentioned, coming off that sort of loss, you were that focused for that long, and then it's very difficult to just be like, okay, we're starting over at minute 0. I don't crit for 700 with every auto attack. I hit for like 60 off every auto. How can you position? How can you just get refocused and try and make the correct shot calls in the early game? Because the last time you played early game was, what, an hour and a half ago?
Yeah, and a lot of times you see it more so with the tanks, where they come through and they're like,
yep,
I can take everybody's damage. Oh, minions hurt me now.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you start getting into it. Whereas when you look across the way, SB or Starboys,
they both have
SB
counted.
So we'll see how that. Are we going to do that all game?
Oh, the whole time. Okay. I think it's funny, and so I'm going to keep doing it. That's all that matters to me. I don't care if chat thinks it's
Robin's going to dab on SB, as you like to say, so we'll see how that one works out. His ability to jump over the front line and dive all back lines is very important to what this character does, mitigating some of the damage as well as dealing damage himself.
Erlong Shen, the pick for Strictly Business, and Terra. Two really strong picks right now. I really like Erlong Shen in this meta. I think he's very, very strong. This is a good flex pick for Strictly Business. Doesn't have to be in the jungle. Can be in the solo lane. Honestly, they could have not picked Terra here and threatened to flex it into support. Yeah. But grabbing that Terra, super strong pick right now. SB just lost to a Terra. Pretty strong pickup.
I love the Sobek here next to the Thoth. We always talk about sort of the word meta. And I get on my soapbox real quick. Very overused in the world of competitive gaming. No comment. And when it comes down to it, meta is really just the game outside of the game. And when we look at our 4 teams here, Sobek is very important in this relegation meta. Our teams love, you can pick out at least one player on each roster that prefers this Sobek. So Starboys taking it out away from whoever they want is very big in my eyes.
This is the exact same 3 picks that Starboys got in their first matchup today, in the exact same order. So you know they're comfortable with these. You know they've been practicing a lot with these 3 gods in particular, working together. So you can't argue with results. They already won their first game with these first 3. May as well try and make it 2.
You were a mid laner in the console league that actually played against Baronic. The Hobwa ban against him, is it that important?
Yeah, because he hasn't proven to have a big enough god pool to not ban it away. I mean, he's absolutely comfortable on this god and looks really, really good on it when he plays it. But we just saw him playing a 66-minute game on Kernanos, a top-tier mid laner right now, and do okay, but not really make that big splash impact that Crimson was making on the Thoth. He's got a really, really good couple of gods, and that's usually okay, but sometimes you need to be prioritizing those couple of gods in the first 3 picks so that you don't get banned away.
Is Janus one of them?
I haven't seen it, but who knows? It's been a long time since I played against him. He probably has been putting this into the lab. There are not a lot of Giannis players in the mid lane on console these days, so I'm excited to see if he can be one of them, because when you have Giannis in your god pool, that is such a threat that teams have to try and deal with.
I agree. It changes the game in ways that almost no other character does.
Yeah.
They're going to pair that up with a Jingwei, another character that can traverse the map very, very, very efficiently, just like the Thor. So everybody on the side of SB can really travel well, while everybody on the side of SB is really just going to fight. Robin, Chalk, Sobek, these guys are just going to be in the front line and just kind of box everybody. So Which one do you think winds up on top as far as the draft?
I think I like SB's comp a little bit more. My only concern is that, and by strictly business is what I meant by SB, I realized. That wasn't even a joke. I just said it because their logo says SB.
Save us.
There's not a lot of burst damage early to mid game with this roster. You've got a lot of setup for a Giannis that doesn't really bring that burst in the early to mid stages, so a little bit concerned about that. But overall, I think strictly business has a composition that I like a little bit better. That being said, Starboys has a comp that can really start to run over you very quickly. Robin jungle, Chalk solo. JacobTask fell behind in Starboys' first game, so I think this is their response to try and give him a pressure god in that lane so that doesn't happen again.
Very hard to fall behind on a Chalk here, especially going into the Erlang Shen, but also Cameron on this Apollo. I've always liked Cameron's Apollo. He plays it few and far between, but when he does, it's one of those anecdotal remembrances where you sit there and you're like, I mean, it might have been 2 games maybe, but I remember him carrying his brains out in those 2 games on the Apollo. So also he kind of looks like him. So I like this shot a lot for Cameron.
I think that Apollo is one of those sleeper hunters right now that has potential to be very, very strong.
He's
Anytime
so good.
Devourer Gauntlets is in the meta, Apollo's going to be right there with him.
And especially with the idea that all hunters just have this love for Chin Sai.
Yeah.
It's the ability to deliver those Chin Sai very efficiently with the audacity. He makes a specific sound, actually, doesn't he?
Does he? I don't know. I've never played Apollo before.
Oh, man, I seem to remember something from yesterday's broadcast.
I wasn't here yesterday.
Oh, okay. You're right. We had the other Ryan Aggro Bailey.
Yeah, that one.
The one that doesn't like to dab on the back.
He didn't do a very good job in my mind.
He was all right. I don't mind him.
Yeah, he's all right. Average at best.
Yeah, very average at best, but here in the solo lane, certainly battling it out. Looks like Strictly Business is going to go ahead and get a little bit of power here.
This is what Chalk does. Nothing but clear the wave. That's the only thing he really brings to the table in my mind. I mean, like I said, this has got to be Starboys saying, JacobTask, here's a god that's going to clear the wave that you won't lose pressure with. And honestly, that can work out in a lot of cases. But having to go to Chalk, as you mentioned, hard to fall behind on, but if you do, it becomes very difficult to stay relevant in the later game team fights.
Chalk gets memed a lot for, being the do-nothing guy, but what it comes down to is his ability to secure objective is actually very, very strong, in my opinion. I think it's a frequently overlooked ability of the character. Giant AoE silence, that's pretty scary when you're looking for objectives, so got to keep that one in mind.
Giant AoE silence and knockup. Don't forget that you can't really focus him when he's in it because he takes less damage while he's channeling that ultimate. So, I mean, Chalk's ultimate is solid. It's just that when you look across the board, not only at his other abilities, but at other warrior ultimates, I don't know. I'd rather have a taunt and massive heal so that I can set up with that. Erlang Shen brings so much more to these team fights than the Chalk does. So it's really dependent on JacobTask getting a lead and punishing Jarman for going for Erlang Shen, a more team fight oriented warrior, than in really pushing him behind, so that even if that Erlang Shen's going to be providing much more CC in the middle of these team fights, he won't be able to stay alive as long as this Chalk because he won't have quite as much farm.
Horrific Emblem being started by the Robin jungle, making the Slowmeister even scarier. Just going to stop you in your tracks, basically make you walk backwards as he stacks his slows on top of you. That's really scary. So if there's ever a period where IAmAnyone traps him, basically any player in a corner, they're just not going to get away.
That's true, but look at how much mobility Strictly Business has on that roster. I mean, yeah, Robin's slow is really potent, and you stack Horrific Emblem on top of that. It can be pretty scary, but Baronic can do that. Go through a wall. Jingwei could use Airstrike and get way far away from this Robin. Even the Thor can hammer away or just use the ultimate. I don't know. I think that maybe something like a Shell would have been better served here because you can use it defensively to continue a chase. You can use it to save someone else on your squad. I just feel like I'm a little bit worried about how much use this Horrific Emblem is really going to give to this Robin jungle.
I think it's going to work out against the Jingwei really well, and it also is another sort of safety net for JacobTask, the guy who fell behind in their first performance, right? If JacobTask allows the Erlang Shen to get super ahead, he's a basic attack-oriented character. That Horrific Emblem is really going to neuter a lot of the damage coming out from the solo later. So, listen, early game, it's going to be able to really hurt players. Cameron calls the Uber and gets out of trouble. No
Smart play
blood
there because he not only does he get out alive, but he holds on to his purification beads. Beads probably doesn't save him there regardless. He needs to get out of danger, and there's not a lot of burst damage quite yet out of that Jing Wei. Most likely not putting a second point into those explosive bolts, so it doesn't have any crit chance. No chance of Cameron getting unlucky there with the explosive bolts. Smart heads-up play. Not the best positioning to put himself in that spot, but gets out of danger.
I was just going to touch on that too. Cameron routinely puts himself into bad spots, whether it's bad positioning or aggression, glass half full, glass half empty. Cameron frequently finds himself. I feel like Cameron is the type of guy that tries to play hero ball a lot. Now, to be fair to Cameron, that's kind of a backhanded compliment because he winds up pulling it off most of the time. So by picking up the Apollo, he allows himself to put himself in bad positions, maybe pay off from that craziness, and then actually get out instead of just falling asleep, which is what we saw with the Soul.
I mean, Hunter is the role to play if you want to try and play hero ball. You have a lot of mobility with most Hunters. You have that game-changing potential, and you're right. I mean, that is the type of god that would synergize well with a guy who likes to play Cameron's playstyle, but we saw him play really aggressive in their last matchup up against Aeromatica on the Hu Yi and got punished for it a couple times. It's got to be a little bit careful here because Jing Wei has really crazy burst damage off of that persistent gust.
That's true. Cameron here. We'll see if he can reel himself in, or if he even needs to. I'd like to see him play very aggressive on this Apollo, knowing that he has those options.
I really like the Jing Wei here for two reasons. Number one, it gives Fatal Ghost almost similar mobility to Cameron. Cameron obviously has the Across the Sky ultimate, but Jing Wei can use that quick reincarnation passive and get to team fights very quickly across the map, just like Cameron can. Plus, you look at the fact that there's so many knockups on the side of Strictly Business. You've got that knockup from Chalk, you've got that knockup from Sobek. Now the Chalk knockup you actually can't dash away from because of the silence combined with it, but that Sobek, Pluck, Tail Whips, anything like that, Fatal Ghost doesn't really have to worry about because he can just use agility to get out of there. Jing Wei being the only character that can do anything when she's knocked up.
Everything scary about Sobek's laning phase, which I think people underestimate how scary Sobek's laning phase is, specifically in the early game. Everything scary about it is completely negated by Jing Wei.
Yes, exactly. And so not the whole reason, Sobek does bring a lot of mid to late game damage, especially when Fiercest Newt 2 is buying Mystical Mail for a second game in a row. It doesn't bother me at all. You can really look past that early scary laning phase, which is a big part of why you're picking Sobek in the first place. Now that doesn't mean that, Boronic and Reminisce don't need to be careful about where they are in relation to this Sobek, but Fatal Ghost, as long as he's got agility up, doesn't have to worry about it.
Big stuff for the Hunter on the side of Strictly Business. Right side, JacobTask in trouble. Uses the ultimate is Terra. And JacobTask going to be able to run away here and still being chased by Jarman. And the help from the Giannis will be coming. JacobTask, he moves slow-mo like a turtle, but he's out of there no problem. Underneath the tower, can't say the same for anyone. He'll be first blood at the hand of Ryan Jarman.
JacobTask gets out of danger, but that Robin just not respecting the amount of damage that the enemy team has. Now Starboys decided to pull the Gold Fury because of the big rotation to the right-hand side, but they don't have a lot of damage right now, Tom.
They're going to use the Sobek ultimate to try and confirm, but everybody shows up. Matt Coys drops the root, still sticking to it, finally going to drop it as the Sobek gets in a little bit of trouble. Mythic shoves out that hieroglyphic assault, and that's exactly what it'll be. It'll be a hieroglyphic retreat.
I love that portal from Boronic because he puts it in the right spot, but then he gives it to Matt Coys. He's the one who gets to use that portal to close the distance so that he can find the multi-man route on that Gold Fury. Really heads up team play so far from Strictly Business with this Giannis.
That's one of those things where I like to talk about player instinct and how one little play can sort of show you all the questions, give you the answers to the questions. Right there, we're asking, what does the Giannis, does Boronic have this in there? That type of portal play shows me that you've been practicing with this as a unit. You know what you're doing. You're not just picking it because it's hot.
And Matt Coys has been around long enough to work well with that as well. I think that a lot of times these Giannis players, you don't even need to be the one thinking about giving portals. You can have players who ask for the portals, say, let me in here so that I can be the initiator. It doesn't really matter if it's Matt Coys or Boronic doing that. It's someone.
Jump forward from anyone. Not enough to take down Reminisce. And the Thor player will get away as he uses his own ultimate to go all the way back home. Very safe play. Cameron, however, took to the skies. Now I'm going to look for Fatal Ghost here. But Fiercest Newt 2 will be able to body block his way out of there.
Cameron wanted to chase down Reminisced in that Thor ult, but realized that he was going to be able to back too quickly before he got there. So instead decided to use the Across the Sky just to put a little bit of damage into Fatal Ghost. Ended up putting no damage into him, but the idea was there.
Those are the types of plays. Those are the types of plays that I was talking about Cameron making, and I don't dislike that play, to be completely honest with you, because Thor goes, he lands on his speed buff and then walks to the tier 2 tower. If Thor decides, that's the interaction we're talking about, if Thor decides to sit at the speed buff and back there, Cameron kills him.
Mythic might die here because that spin is going to take the win for Reminisced. Mythic just in the wrong spot, no purification beads, up against 3 members there. Thor didn't even have ultimate, so that just means that Mythic was way out of position.
Yeah, he can't stand there right now. Fiercest Newt gonna wiggle out of that one.
It's a skinny crocodile.
It's a newt.
Oh, I get it.
Are newts reptiles or amphibians?
I'm pretty sure they're reptiles.
Because they're kind of slippery. They're not scaly.
That's true. No, not reptiles. No. Amphibians? No?
They're birds?
They're definitely not birds. I just think that our cameraman doesn't actually know.
They're amphibians. I was right.
Well played.
Production coming through with a clutch.
Not only do you learn some Smite knowledge here at the SCL Relegations, but biology knowledge as well.
Look at that. JacobTask has to use his ultimate underneath the tower. One of the nice things about amphibians is that they can exist in 2 different worlds. They can be in the water and on land. JacobTask, however, has proven that he's only on the defensive. Even when given an aggressive god, he can't occupy both worlds.
He's down 600 gold again in this solo lane. And yes, Jarman did get a kill here on in fact, that first blood onto IAmTheHamster, but that's still a pretty big lead for this Erlang Shen, and he's extending it with that blue buff invade. Again, I've said it once, and I'll say it a million times. I've never looked at a draft and said Chalk is the best possible pick here, and I still don't see it here today.
I think there is a time that you say that, and I don't think that it has anything to do with the characters you select. I think it has to do with the players that you have on your team. And this isn't meant as a shot at JacobTask. This is just objective analysis here. When the weakest member on your team is going to be in that solo lane, you give them the chalk to be able to just tread water. Now the question is he treading water right now? Well, his tower's not down 12 minutes in, so he's doing enough. My real question though is, does anyone, the Ravana player, the jungler, have to help JacobTask more?
I don't think that that's where you're going to get your lead no matter what. And again, even if you do get a lead with Chalk, it's like, we did it. It's a Chalk with a lead, but he's still not going to do enough compared to the other warriors in this game. I think that I'd rather see IAmTheHamster stick around this mid lane, get Mythic a lead, because Mythic played really, really well on this Thoth in the mid game in their first game today. So I think I'd rather see this Ravana hang around the mid lane, try and get Mythic to get some safe farm and get some safe poke off, because now that he's got the Book of Thoth, he can do significant damage. The early game for Thoth is notoriously bad. It's the biggest weakness of this character without a doubt. But we're past that now. We're 13.5 minutes in. He's got a big power item. The penetration that's likely to come after this is going to help, but he's already got it now.
Middle lane, Fierce is new too, trying to deal with being rooted. Now coming out. I'm going to miss the pluck himself. Trouble. Nice portal coming out from Giannis, but the follow-up damage not going to be good enough. Fierce is new too, finds his way out of there, and Reminisced does the same.
Really like what Baronic does there, though. Lays down the 3 to slow down that Sobek even farther. Cameron looking for this cleanup kill underneath the mid tower, but the Thor sniffed it out. Cameron might pay for this one.
I think he absolutely will. The Aegis already used well underneath the tower. Cameron trying to escape, and he will as he gets a little bit of help from JacobTask.
Ooh, overhead kick. Secured that speed buff for the Ravana, so that's a pretty big win, but Cameron's still on the run in the mid lane. Did a lot of trouble, but somehow manages to escape.
JacobTask here, helping out. I think a big part of that was the slow, allowing Cameron to really get out of there. And like we said, those are the types of plays Cameron is going to make. Apollo, a very safe character. That's you got to pick a character for your not only your draft but also your player's playstyle, as we were alluding to over there in the solo lane. Same thing here for Cameron in the Hunter role.
I really like what Jarman's building next, though. This height of the Urchin. This tells me that he's planning to come out of the solo lane, start to rotate a little bit quicker, and try and get into these team fights to get some protection stacks. And this is the time for him to do it because he has a lot of farm right now. As I mentioned, Erlongshen, a phenomenal team fight warrior. And if he can be here to set up and give that extra burst of damage that Strictly Business might be lacking, that's going to make their team fight that much better than Starboys.
15 minutes in, as Strictly Business, the only team with any kills, and they have exactly 2 of them. Starboys, however, across the way are also down, not just in kills, but gold. 3,000 gold, so to speak, and Strictly Business trying to fix that. Cameron pulling Gold Fury, but more of a heads-up play as FN2 in trouble. Forced into the ultimate and forced into the fountain. Fatal Ghost puts down the amphibian.
So smart there by Matt Koiz because Terra, we talked about how it's really difficult to pull the Jing Wei. Terra has her rocks up, so she's knockup immune. That sets up Fiercest Nude for a bad spot. Now it's IAmAnyone who was in a bad spot, but he still had Mystic Rush. Had to use that ultimate just to get away.
JacobTask likely to lose his tower here, even taking down the minions. We see the Erlongshen sticking to it, 2 levels ahead of JacobTask, just bringing him the fight. Not afraid at all. Minions, player, it do not matter.
Not when you're level 15 as an Erlongshen with nearly catching up to the highest gold in the game right now. That's Fatal Ghost on this Jing Wei, which is what you expect. We talk about it every time when it comes to Jing Wei, the power farmer extraordinaire. But even matching that of Cameron, and these days hunters get a lot of solo farm, and it's not the old season 2 days where solo laners are level 17 while they're going up against level 13 mid laners.
Right.
Those days have passed. Now they're going up against level 17 hunters while the warriors are level 15. But that being said, Jarman is so far ahead off these blue buff invades, off getting these waves, off pushing down this tower, that he is big enough that he could come in and basically take Cameron on 1v1 at this point.
So far, I don't think we've really seen much come out from our Sobek player here. The Mystical Male, interesting choice. Veronica able to get out of trouble, and Fiercest Nude 2 just barely getting out of there. Why do you think we see this Mystical Male again from the Sobek?
Greed. It's the only explanation, because it's not like maybe Strictly Business. I could see a Mystical Male on a Sobek if they were playing support because of the lack of mid-game damage, but that is not Starboy's problem here. This is pure greed for this Nude to want to do damage.
It just doesn't. I mean, go Voidstone then.
He will. It's next item.
I'm very curious about this one. Maybe they get a ton of trouble, likely to fall down. Matt Koiz is the one with the heavy hand this time around. Veronica in trouble as well. Reminisce goes down first. Fiercest Nude 2 with credit for that one after the rest of the team provides the damage. And Ryan Jarman here. He might be able to get out. How long on animals is the biggest question you got to ask yourself. And it's messed out by Cameron. What a play.
But the portal is better from Baronic. Again, looking to be a team player. That time, that's definitely Baronic saying, I've got a portal for you. Really heads up there. Already looking really, really strong on this Giannis. Again, not going to put out a lot of damage. He's bottom of the player damage on his own team. Who cares? He saved 2 people's lives, or he saved 1 person's life, and then put his support in position to initiate on another Gold Fury. He's played really well thus far.
Yeah, that is what you want when you pick that Giannis. He'll do damage later on if he hits 1 unstable vortex with the right boxes checked. He takes out a player in the late game. Good for him, but yeah, that portal right there, that Erlongshen, especially after Cameron's mez, he's dead. He's dead 7 ways till Tuesday. But the portal comes out, Baronic just says, yo, I got you, man. No problem.
Touching again on this Sobek build, going for the Mystical Male. I say it's greedy not only because it doesn't provide anything to the team, but it's also really, really expensive. Look at the lead that Matt Koiz has in itemization right now. He's got his Travelers, just like the Sobek does, but he's also got a Genji's Guard, a Jade Emperor's Crown, and he's working towards what might be Oni Hunters next. That looks like it's that Enchanted Kasari tree. So, and you're looking at the Sobek build, he's got Voidstone 2. Yeah. You're reducing a lot of physical power with that Jade Emperor's Crown. You've got a lot of HP, CDR, magical protection with the Genji's Guard. Matt Koiz is going to be much harder to bring down, and his team will be as well as a result because of this build. Yes, the Sobek's going to deal more damage, but that's not really what I want my support to be doing.
I mean, it depends. Sometimes I do want the damage out of it, but I don't think that the Sobek is going to provide enough. He's down 1,000 gold, and I mean, Frankly, I think that there are very few times when things are objectively wrong. I think this build is just objectively wrong coming out from the Sobek. And I implore him to prove me differently.
Yeah, this is, I can tell you this much. If I were playing with a new support and he built Mystical Mail first item, I'd be like, hello? What is going on here? Because I don't need more damage, my man. I just need some support.
Well, the Mystical Mail is ticking. He's able to cause some harassment. Fiercest Newt 2 caught behind the wall, not tanky enough, and he's going to go down again to the hand of Matt Koiz.
And again, even if he finds that pluck, what difference does it make? Because Fatal Ghost has agility. I mean, that pluck is useless in that position, only to put yourself out of position. That's exactly what happens.
Tough stuff. JacobTask able to take the fight to Ryan Jarman over there on the right side lane, but not able to find it on the support side. Very low is the Gold Fury. Cameron comes down, and it looks like they're going to try and stick to it, Ryan. Nah, they're going to leash it, understanding that strictly business has the damage. Fatal Ghost takes down Mythic. It looks like Cameron knock up. Knocked down.
Jarman with credit for that one, 2-0 and 2. He's already got 3 stacks on that Hide of the Urchin. He's finished off his Wing Blade. He's a force to be reckoned with out of the solo lane right now. Gold Fury likely to go down. Strictly business. Secure it, but that was really close. JacobTask almost got that one.
I was gonna
crit.
Really be excited about Josh.
Fatal Ghost is swinging right now. Got the lucky number there on the crit. Unstable Vortex not enough, but through space.
The ultimate will be enough. JacobTask caught snoozing. Moronic on top.
And he's out of there because he's Giannis, and that's what Giannis does best. Do you want to snipe people from a long distance and get away, even if you have low mana and low HP? Then Giannis is the god for you.
That was pretty good.
Thanks, man.
You ever think about doing that full time?
Nah, you know, I don't think me talking for a living is a wise idea.
I agree. You know what you should do?
What should I do? Don't say it. You better not say it. So Sobek in this game, he's got his Mystical Mail done, as we've talked about a lot. Now it's the Void Stone. So this is what you wanted to see if you want a hybrid. This is solo Beck build right now. This is a Sobek that was coming out of the solo lane. The problem is the solo laners right now have 10,000 gold, at least Jarman does. He actually got more gold than JacobTask, but this is just too much gold for my liking. That you're investing into items that aren't going to help your team too much.
The Void Stone isn't even as egregious as the Mystical Mail. The Mystical Mail is really what troubles me. It's such an expensive item.
Now that being said, I'm looking at Baronic's build, and he's gone for a very expensive route as well. Spear of Desolation into Chronos Pendant. He's sitting at basically max CDR now between the 20% from the Chronos Pendant, the 10% that is basically there by the Chronos Pendant passive, and the 10% from Spear of Desolation. But that's a lot of gold. We're talking, both those items are over 2,500 gold, just now working towards a route of Tahuti. The only reason that I think this is okay for Baronic is because he's so far ahead.
Exactly.
I mean, he's level 18 right now. He's got plenty of gold to spend.
He's 2,000 gold in the lead. Cameron's stuck. Mez helps him for the moment. Nice dash out of there. And the team comes to help him out. Yeah, and that's playing your lead. I don't mind going this build. If Baronic sticks to this build at a time when he's even or below, then we have the same conversation we're having about Fiercest Newt 2. But what it comes down to, if you're ahead by that 2K, do it. You're doing nothing if you don't use that lead, so I don't mind that so much. 2,100 for a Void Stone, sure. Build that after whatever your second item is that doesn't cost almost 3,000 gold.
Jade Emperor's into a Void Stone doesn't give you a lot of HP, but it's good at reducing damage and protection. That I can buy. Sure.
And the idea that you have to go, the idea behind going a hybrid build here for the Sobek because you have a warrior jungle instead of an assassin, I buy that too. I understand it, but I just think that the itemization is too expensive. Nice defense coming out from Starboys here on their tier 1, but JacobTask able to survive. Nice knock-up from Jingweezy, not going to be enough as FN2 plays the front line.
Look at how healthy Jarman is, too. I mean, he's got so much HP in that build. You got HP from the Urchin, you got HP from the Wing Blade, and now from the Silver Talisman. He can tank this up all day.
Dashing away right into the clutches of Matt Koiz. The ultimate out of Mystic, not going to find a home. Baronic putting that scary portal down, forcing Cameron to walk away. Sometimes it's the threat, not the actual application. What was that? Anyone jumps into everyone and dies easily.
That's, I mean, when you're behind, you got to start trying to make plays. That's just not the play to make in that situation. Fatal goes a little bit isolated here as Cameron and JacobTask continue to chase, but this is not a fight that Strictly Business should be trying to run away from. This is good for them.
I thought that was a big play by JacobTask. Starboys on the chase. I like this. This could be a good move. No kills just yet. Got to kill Jarman before the heal comes off, and they do. Mythic right through the window takes down Ryan Jarman. Starboys should look for the tier 1 tower.
Almost a fatal mistake there by Strictly Business because they grouped up for Apollo ult. That's not spreading out that damage at all. Now Cameron looking for Reminisce. Actually mezzes out the hammer. Reminisce gonna fall here. Beautiful play out of Cameron. And all of a sudden, Starboys with a little bit of life. The problem here is that there's not a lot to take that they can do safely.
Yeah.
Gold Fury isn't up. And even if it were, Fatal Ghost is already back with his passive. Baronic's already back as well.
And that's a dead shock. One portal able to do it. Easy peasy.
Rod of Tahuti done for Baronic, and already seeing the dividends of that. He's got the blink for some reason, but in this situation, it could end up paying off. Could blink just to close the gap. And
so before I said you got to play your lead, that's going the expensive build. Letting the lead play you, that's
what do you mean? You just got to kill with blink. Blink Giannis, dude. It's OP. I said that from the beginning. Like I said, this is a perfect pickup, and I don't question it at all. Genius.
Sure.
Sure.
I mean, no. That's the life, man. If you can do it, I'm down. I'm down. He blinks under the tower and portals himself out after landing the point blank unstable. You know what? Live for the Jiffy Cat. I'm down with it.
We're back.
Show me the replays, baby.
Hey man, if you can get away with it, like you said, I guess it works out. If you could position well enough where you don't need Aegis, sure. I mean that's a tough ask for any mid laner, even a Giannis. But if you can get away with it, having that mobility, as if Giannis didn't already have enough, why not?
I will never say no to the hot plays. Neither will Fatal Ghost. He takes down not just the Robin, but the Chalk likely to fall as well. Barada gets credit for the kill with the portal.
Baronic's portals aggressively and for utility have been really, really solid. There's another one. Baronic already looking like this Giannis is a staple of his god pool. 5-0 and 9 for him. I like what Cameron's doing here. Problem is that Strictly Business have this sentry warded. So Jarman's going to come over and make sure that this doesn't go away for free. Meanwhile, the rest of his squad, they're going to do fire.
Oh my goodness, out of nowhere. Hits him. That was nutso.
But they brought a lot of people over here, so now this Fire Giant pool probably not going to be particularly successful. They may kill Mythic for it here, and indeed they probably will before that final judgment goes off. But if that Thor stays by Fire Giant Pit, I think that Strictly Business can get that kill and the Fire Giant at the same time.
Ooh. Ooh. He hit him so hard from so far. Yeah, I gotta say.
In the end, it didn't even matter.
Go on.
It was a Linkin Park reference.
Oh.
Like, if you rewatch it, you'll understand.
I will. Rest in peace, Chester. Strong artist.
True.
Not too soon. Right now, Starboys not exactly having the lead that they'd like. Far behind in a half hour.
And you know what? This is very impressive from Strictly Business. Not only because they're straight up dominating Starboys right now, but because of the game they just came out of.
Yes.
They were able to refocus very, very quickly. They go with a basically entirely new draft. They throw it all and say, we're just going to try and win with this one. And they really refocused quickly. And that's, and I don't know their team dynamic particularly well, but I imagine that Matt Koiz is a big part of that because he's been around for a long time. He's had tough LAN losses and bounced back and one long LAN series. He was the coach for Astral Authority most recently, being a part of a squad that has Brochacho, that support, who's always trying to be on an even keel, can kind of impart that to Matt Koiz, who may be doing the same here for Strictly Business.
I mean, you really just got to have what they call a quarterback's memory. You know, what goes wrong last play, next game, next play could be exactly what you need it to be. Big chunk coming out from Baronic.
Giannis, he does the damage late game. What he lacks in the early game certainly brings in the late.
What a superstar today Baronic's been. Just offensive, defensive, utility. Everything has been looking really nice for the mid laner on the side of Strictly Business.
Cameron up in the sky, not going to find anyone, but Reminisce finds anyone in the backside. Final Judgment there does a ton of damage to Matt Koiz and Baronic. Cameron's still on the run. Hammer doesn't quite find a home. Mid Phoenix likely to fall here.
Yeah, it goes down, and now Fiercest Newt in trouble. Nice wall coming out from the Terra. And Mythic is actually able to get a kill there. The Titan.
Oh, the portal disappears. Yeah. Brutal. That sucks, but a two-man portal there from Baronic and the Unstable Vortex. Really, really peeling with the way of the damage portal in that scenario.
Yeah, I didn't expect the Titan. I saw a couple of people start attacking the Titan. I said, all right, guys, don't get too excited. And Strictly Business check themselves and decide to retreat anyway. Mid lane, Phoenix does go down. Nice play. Well done.
This Strictly Business roster is looking really, really strong right now. So likely to be that both SCL teams trying to defend their spots are going to be 1-1 after their first 2 games. So this really opens the door for these Challenger Cup teams to try and come up and force some tiebreakers as well. This has potential to be really, really close between these 4 teams.
Yep, certainly something that we're got to keep an eye on. It's always really exciting to see these guys sort of go the distance and just stretch it out. So Starboys right now, they know what kind of clock they're on. They got to be able to find this win. As we said, just reiterating, Starboys have won. If they actually wind up turning this one around, that's basically done for them. Whereas Irrelevant Gamer is the only other team with a win. Last game lost by Strictly Business. So.
Yeah, Anti-Venom would be the only team without a win so far, but they've only played 1 game. That's if Strictly Business finishes this one off. So and they play up next against the other Challenger Cup contender of the Relegated Gamers, aka Memory of Michael. So that game will hold just as much importance as this one has between the 2 defending SCL teams.
Again, just talking about the little things coming out from our Giannis player here. Baronic using that angle to get the Giannis portal out from in front of to behind the tier 2 tower. Nothing happens. Nobody's going through it. But the threat of somebody coming through that portal is enough to push Starboys off of the tower.
Plus, he's got blink, so he can blink forward, hit you with the Unstable Vortex, then use the portal he already put to not waste frames.
With the Soul Reaver.
So he can come back, that's right. Someone has potential of getting one shot right now with through space and time. There's no doubt about that.
He's looking for it.
I know I would be. That's what every Giannis player looks for. Just like every Raw player wants to hit the 1-4 combination and just erase someone late game. Right. Every Giannis player, all idea of utility goes out the window in the late game because you're like, I could save my whole team, but I could also one-shot the entire enemy team.
Baronic here getting ready for Fire Giant spawning in about 13 seconds. This one free, Ryan?
I can't imagine that Starboys feel comfortable stepping up here. I mean, they're down nearly 20K, and they have Fire Minions to worry about. Only in the mid lane. I don't know. Actually, the more I think about it, I think if I'm Starboys, I do try and take this fight because you're not winning a fight underneath your Phoenix, even at this stage. You have to try and catch Strictly Business off guard and maybe catch someone getting hit by a Fire Giant knockup, something along those lines. Fighting near your base just means that Strictly Business has less to walk whenever they wipe your team. That's really all that it comes down to. Try and take it where they aren't prepared for the fight. On the Phoenix Siege, they're going to be ready for you to engage or counter-engage. Right now, you know, a little bit earlier, maybe they could have caught him sleeping. Unlikely, though.
Giannis here on the backside. Looks like the team wants to...
Look at this structure damage, by the way. 0 across the board for Starboys. They haven't even looked sideways at a tower.
They haven't had the opportunity. Strictly Business has had the boot on the throat the entire game. Right now, they show no signs of stopping. Mid Phoenix is going to go down as quickly as it comes up, right? And now, it's trouble. Strictly Business dealing out the damage. Baronic on the backside, playing it safe.
Looking for that one shot, as most Giannis players will. Joltek gets CC chained. Beautiful damage there. Coming out of Reminisce. Here comes that through space in time. He's going to find Cameron all the way in his fountain. That's why you play the Giannis.
The blink and the unstable for the double kill.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me, dude.
Trips for Baronic. We asked the question in Picks and Pans. Is this Giannis in his wheelhouse? And He has answered us and then some.
Yes. The answer, yes.
Yes.
He can play Giannis. Yes.
Very well. And the Giannis wins the game, it looks like.
Pretty much. I mean, it was a team effort, though. Strictly business across the board. Boronic really started to shine in that mid game, but for me, it was Jarman in that solo lane, just dominating from the get-go. He gets that first blood. He takes that lead. He's invading blue buff off cooldown. He's pushing Joltek underneath the tower. Reminisce comes over, forces him off that tower so that they can get the tier 1 in the solo lane. Overall, I mean, all of Strictly Business played really, really well that game.
Yeah, it winds up being the team synergy, but Boronic definitely, I think, comes up to the front. Even if he's helping the team synergy now. This is that's sort of that mid-game stuff, the late-game stuff, and down goes the player in the fountain. But don't forget, earlier in this game, we were watching him provide those portals for his teammates. This time around, he picks up the trip skis like that. I mean, this was the all-encompassing Giannis performance, I think.
Yeah, that's basically a Giannis clinic right there.
Absolutely.
You do everything that Giannis wants to do. You one-shot someone late game, check. You use your ultimate to provide utility at one point, check. You get people out of danger or an initiation with your portal, check. I mean, Boronic did it all, and he blinked. That's not on the list, by the way. You don't have to do that, I promise. That actually isn't here.
That's extra credit?
Yeah, no. You actually lose points for that in my book.
But he earned extra credit earlier, so it all balances.
So he still got a 100. Yeah.
There you go.
He still got 100.
Testing fate, and coming up heavy is going to be our mid laner, Boronic, here. Let's take a look at the snapshot of how the day's relegation games have been going. Earlier today, Starboys lost one, and that's going to be very important that they win one here.
Yeah, Strictly Business able to take it off of them. Now it's Relevated Gamers up against Anti-Venom. If Relevated Gamers can find this one, they're in a really, really good spot in order to make their way into the SCL. Anti-Venom basically need this one. If they lose this, I believe they're mathematically eliminated.
Yeah, so coming up next is Anti-Venom versus In Memory of Michael or Relevated Gamers, whichever one you like better. Stay tuned for that one. We'll be right back.
Everything comes back